Now, our next speaker, Valuable 500 has been mentioned time and time again in the last 2 years. And I'm very, very happy for our next speaker from Valuable 500, who very naturally practices his title on a daily basis, Stephane Leblois, Director of Partnerships. And you are indeed a great partner to move mountains and make changes. Valuable 500 is a global community of 500 business leaders committed to putting disability on their agenda and recognizing the value and the worth of 1.3 billion people globally living with disability. Now, we all know how truly influential these companies are, and Valuable is basically taking their power to benefit the community and raise the bar. Stephane will give us an understanding of how this is implemented, and he brought one representative from the Valuable 500. And Stephane, I can tell you, when we're talking inclusion, it was obvious that it's not going to be only one. You brought one. We already have another one coming. So looking forward to hearing what you have to say, please.
Yeah, thank you, Michal, for that kind introduction. I feel like I should, record that and then use it every time I speak on another panel. But it's wonderful to be here.
I have it recorded. Don't worry.
Yeah. Thank you to Access Israel, our friends Yuval and Michal, and the team. Special shout out to Shimrit for answering all of my questions over WhatsApp, over email. So thank you, Shimrit. As a audio description, I'm a aging white male with a pink shirt on and a black background. And I have the pleasure today of serving as an opening act for the main event, Isabel Medellin, who I'll be introducing in a little bit. But, first I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Valuable 500 and where we sit in terms of this greater conversation. We've already heard from so many speakers, illustrious speakers so far on how different sectors, different companies, different organizations are working in on the disability inclusion equation. And I think I'm going to hit you with a stat and then talk about how we're kind of addressing it from our side. So we did a big data analysis once we got our 500 commitments. This was back in 2021 at the end of the year. We did a big data analysis of all of our commitments across all 500 companies to see which are the trends, what are companies really focusing on, what do people want to work on as part of their commitments to disability inclusion. And when we got the report back, 70% of our companies are working, or upwards of 70% of our companies are working on issues related to disability and employment. So this is something that, we hear anecdotally, some companies are working on. This is very much on the minds of the majority of companies out there. So this is an incredibly important conversation, and we're addressing it in two ways, two concrete ways. The first is, you've heard mentions of it, Ambassador Gallegos sent something about this, and a couple of others, that we just released a white paper on ESG reporting at Davos, which was worked on by our two iconic companies, Allianz and LSEG. And it's really about kind of promoting accountability and promoting better reporting around certain key KPIs in disability inclusion in the private sector, among which the very first one is related to disability employment. So we, LSEG, Allianz, we, and many other companies that have, provided their insights towards the production of this white paper believe that this is top of mind for everybody. And this is something that our companies will continue to work on. So that's kind of our first pillar, is pushing ESG reporting, and within that, reporting, better reporting and more standardized reporting around disability inclusion in the employee base. And the second piece is our brand new mentorship program, which just launched, called Generation Valuable. We believe it's not just about, measuring how many people come through the door as a business, but also how you create and cultivate environments to help that talent grow. So it's not just, people don't just get stuck at the entry level or get stuck by that glass ceiling, which we know exists, right? And so we started this mentorship program called Generation Valuable to promote the next generation of C-suite leaders with disabilities or with lived experience. And so those are kind of two ways really quickly. If anybody wants to reach out to learn more about what we're doing, here's my email. I dropped in the chat. But without further ado, I'd love to introduce who I consider a friend now, and certainly a colleague and a co-ally in this space, Isabel Medellin. She is the global director of people, process, and technology at Steelcase, based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Isabel, please take it away.
Yeah. Thanks, Stephane, and thanks, Access Israel, for having me today. It's an honor to be here. And while I share my screen, I would like to share a brief description. I'm a woman, I'm Latina, my hair is black and straight, and I'm wearing a suit in gray and black colors. Let me move this so I can put the, slideshow presentation. So in this first slide, I have an image of people collaborating and connecting in our Steelcase, offices. So you can see, the flexible and modern environment and the different products, technology, and tools we offer. So our mission is that we help people to do their best work by creating places that work better. And our DI vision is we aspire to create a culture of belonging that represent the communities we live and work. We believe that belonging can help individuals, communities, and organizations thrive. And the question is, how do we achieve this? We have identified 5 key goals. The first is building diverse teams that represent our communities. The second is ensuring equitable access to opportunity. The third is create a culture of inclusion. The fourth, diversify our supply chain. And last but not least, align our dealers in a common DEI purpose. For our organization, it's very important to embrace social learning. This means that we want to learn and connect with other groups that can help us to learn from people with diverse lived experiences and, grow and learn together. So it was in 2021 when our CEO, Sarah Armbruster, signed with Valuable 500. Since then, we have been closely partnering with them, as well as we have partnerships with other organizations. One of these organizations, is G3 ICT, and we partnered with them to explore how might we together drive greater inclusion of persons with disabilities in places of work around the world. Of course, our intention was build this vision for the workplace of the future, but also identify what are those concrete actions that we can take right now in our company, as well as share with other organizations across the globe. So at the end of my participation, I will drop in the chat box to the link to the Blueprint for Inclusive Workplace of the Future, so all of you will have full access to this. In addition to the partnership with Valuable 500 and with G3 ICT, I would like to mention a Special Olympics in Michigan that is, of course, about sports and training and competition for people with intellectual disabilities. Also, we do partner with World Enabled, that they focus on following up mandates related to inclusion. And another of our great partners is Sport, which gives a voice for the disabled community. And we are looking to embrace inclusive design in everything we do. So how this connects with our inclusive employment practices, we have identified 4 different pillars for inclusive employment. Is, attract with focus on inclusive recruitment, hire with focus on evidence-based selection, develop with focus on equal access to opportunity, and retain, focus on creating belonging. And if I can pick only one thing to leave with you related to the attract pillar for inclusive recruitment, will be about, partnerships. Of course, this is about talent sourcing and partnerships and internships and talent outreach, but be intentional on identifying those organizations in your community and diversify your pipeline so you can have access to the best talent. In our second pillar, that is hire, we are focused on bringing an evidence-based selection approach. We have partnered with other organizations such as Higher Reach in the US, as well as the Kellogg Foundation and their Expanding Equity program, to learn how we can mitigate bias in our hiring processes so we can help leaders to make better hiring decisions based on skills and competencies and not resume and pedigree. With this, we are mitigating bias in our processes and system. And also, it's very important to provide accommodations, in the recruitment process as well as during the hiring, and stay very close to our talents to understand their unique needs. We develop, and our focus on equal access to development opportunities. If I can highlight one thing, is visibility of opportunities. Make sure that everybody know growth opportunities in your organization, have a clear career path, have a clear promotion criteria, and provide access to talent visibility programs such as mentorship and sponsorship. And last but not least, the retain pillar. And this is about how we can live diversity, equity, and inclusion, in an authentic way, and display consistent, inclusive behaviors on a daily basis, because this is what creates, experiences for our employees. And I will add, think creatively and critically about your benefits. For example, recently we launched a new benefit that is about pet insurance. And we have received very positive feedback because some colleagues may have the need of a service dog, or emotional support to a pet. Another benefit is some reimbursement for travel and lodging when you don't have access to certain medical services that you need and are, out of your, established area. So it's about how we can be creative to think about it. And the last thing that I would like to mention is share learning opportunities. Create inclusion learning experiences. And we have, different programs such as action learning teams. We have a DEI toolkit through action learning labs too. And here in this slide, in the right side, you are seeing an image that is just an example of one of the conversation of resources that we share with our employees. And is like a one-pager with 13 helpful reminders for disability etiquette in the workplace. Of course, looking for greater inclusion as well as a more effective communication. And I want just to, close by thanking again Access Israel for having me today. And I want to remind you that each one of us, individuals, organizations, communities, have a role to play on driving progress. And it's very important that we favor always progress over perfection. So thank you so much. And I will drop in the chat box my contact information in case anyone would like to stay in touch.
Perfect. Thank you very, very much. Fascinating. And really, I'm looking forward to see where it takes us.